Hello and welcome. My name is Errity Green and this is Wise Women Oracle and Tarot. And today I am bringing you a pick a card reading on how to up your mood and vibe. So this is all about clearing your baggage, your burdens, and your worries so that you can feel good, so that you can feel better, so you can feel clear and relieved. So of course, if you find you like this reading, I encourage you to like, subscribe, press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications every single time a new video pops up. And if you find you enjoy me or my work and you want to explore that further, you can check out those details below or visit erritygreen.com. And last but not least, I do have two other YouTube channels that you might enjoy. You can join our community there, Psychic True Crime and Wise Women Television. You can check out those links and subscribe below. All right, so we'll jump right in. I'm going to place a picture up of your 3 card piles to choose from today. As always, you're choosing from left to right. All right, card pile 1, how to up your mood and vibe. So I did choose 2 new decks today, not new that I bought them recently, but new to reading, and I just happened to find them and wanted to explore using them. So these are the Goddess Guidance Oracle cards and the Abundance deck. So you might have those, you might not. And so it might take me a little bit to gather the messages more than it usually does because I'm not as familiar with it. But we'll be building a relationship during this reading and I will get the messages out of my mouth as quickly and efficiently as I can. I probably should never wear a gray shirt for a YouTube video, right? I'm sure that's a rule. I clearly didn't listen to that rule. All right, so card pile 1, you're like, when is this lady going to start my reading? Just give me a moment. We'll go ahead and get started. All right, so let's see here. What's the energy here? This is about letting yourself relax, letting yourself go. It's kind of like letting your belly hang out, man. It's like unbuttoning your jeans, letting your hair down, letting yourself chill out. Now, here's the thing, though. I'm not feeling the energy of like all-out laziness and like wallowing or apathy or sort of disappearing into the oblivion. I'm not getting that energy. This is more of just letting yourself breathe, letting yourself enjoy yourself, letting yourself enjoy life, letting yourself enjoy the little spaces life opens up for you, letting yourself take the breath, letting yourself take a breather, letting yourself step outside. It's almost like this energy of either a busy or full life or lifestyle. And it's like the energy isn't saying you have to go undoing all of that, severing all of that. For a lot of us, it's not even possible. Like getting rid of your responsibilities. It's not even the energy of like delegating and stuff. I mean, not that those things could come up, they might. It's about letting yourself off the hook. It's like a mental unhooking. It's an emotional unhooking. It is, there was a thought here and I would like it to come back. I'm setting my intention for it to come back because it doesn't feel like you're lazy or apathetic. I mean, I know you're not. You might have a busy or full lifestyle. Oh, it's about just taking the time that is given to you. So a lot of people feel like when they're told by someone like me, or they get a reading, or they have a coach or a mentor or a guide of some kind, and they're told to slow down or savor or take a breath. And oftentimes what those people come back with is, I can't, I have this and I have that, and I have this many kids and this many jobs and this boss, and they micromanage and this, right? We all have this list, and some of us more than others, of all of these responsibilities. And especially if you have a more powerful position at work, and then on top of that, you might be a primary caretaker in your household or household manager in your household. And so whichever walk of life that you stem from, you're not even being asked to unload these responsibilities or shelve them. It's saying, take the opportunities that you get. Because it's almost this feeling of you might decline beers with the guys. You know, that's an example. And who knows? And not all of you are going to get invitations for beers with the guys. But it's like, or mimosas with the girls, just to be super stereotypical. It's like you have these chances to take a breath and you don't take them. You fill that space. And so it's taking the breath when you have it. It's taking that moment to linger. It's taking that moment, using that space instead of filling the gap. So where you might naturally be given opportunities and your everyday flow or your weekly flow, monthly flow, and so on, to slow down, to let go. It's like those times where we can take the holiday, but we choose not to. Or we could not rush through the grocery store, but we do. We could not check our email, but we do anyway. It's like that energy where it's like you're being given the opportunities to let your hair down, to let your belly out, to unbutton your pants, you know what I'm talking about, right? When you kind of let your belly out, you just unbutton your pants and you just let yourself go. And again, for some of you, you're gonna be like, I can't let myself go. And again, the message isn't to just let yourself go, just all out, loss of control. It's like you can attend to the responsibilities of your life and still have breathing room, still enjoy the fresh air, still enjoying the quiet gaps or spacious places that open up in your everyday reality. It's like you might not even take them. And it's interesting that the energy isn't be just more mindful through your day, because I've told clients that, where you don't have to do anything extra. Don't even bother trying to meditate. If you're that full, just be more mindful. And it's not even putting it on you. It's saying you're being given opportunities to rest, to put your feet up, to let your hair down, to let your belly hang out. And it's saying take those opportunities when you get it, because a part of this energy is spaciousness and letting more spaciousness come into your life. And with spaciousness comes more abundance. So I feel like for some of you, you might have a belief system that you can't slow down, or you have this rule that you have to keep going, say, to bring in more money, or to make sure that this is taken care of so that you can bring in more money, or that you can't slow down over here because this has to happen, which might also bring in more money. So it's like that sort of that survival mode. And it doesn't mean everyone for card pile 1 is hyper focused on money. That's not at all what it is. But the message here is connected to that, and that it's saying the more spaciousness you invite into your life is the more abundance that you will experience. The more abundant you will feel, and the more abundance you will experience, the more spaciousness you can bring into your life. So if you're running around frantic or contracted all of the time, or feeling tight, or feeling like you're operating in that space of scarcity, limitation, gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta go here, gotta go there, that kind of energy, it's saying that's not spacious. And so it's not going to feel abundant. And it's also going to be less likely for you to experience greater abundance. It's almost like the energy of the universe picks up on that, as they can't even handle the abundance that they have now. So, they can just deal with what they have. When they're ready, they'll open up more. When they're ready, they'll be more spacious. When they want more abundance, they'll really make themselves available. Now, for some of you, that could be triggering, or at least frustrating to hear, because I feel like this card pile, you guys are going to be primarily when I say you guys, I'm not assigning gender or assuming gender. This is simply me from the Midwest. I'm not giving myself excuses either. It might be a sensitive term. I don't think it's offensive. So anyway, I just want to make sure I share that disclaimer that I'm not assuming or identifying a gender here. But I feel like this group, these are the responsible people. These are the ones who are carrying the load and the burden and the this and the that. Like they're the ones who are perhaps providing for their families, or playing some sort of provider role, whether that's financially, emotionally, caretaking wise. Like you are doing your due diligence, you're doing your part. And so I don't think I have to tell you, it's not about doing more. It's about creating more space and creating more spaciousness and enjoying what you have now, so you can call in more of the abundance that you desire, that you seek. And again, the reason I share that is because some of you, I feel like, do wonder, gosh, I work so hard and I feel like I don't have a whole lot to show for it. Some of you, when you're honest, might think that, say that, some kind of wavelength along those lines. And the message here is around, you feel that way because you haven't given yourself that abundance. It's like it's already here. You don't even take the breaths, the moments, the glimpses, the gaps that you already have. It's almost like the universe is handing you a gift and you're saying, no, thank you. And they hand you another gift. No, thank you. And they hand you another gift. No, thank you. So again, energetically, the transmission there is saying, I'm all set. I've got this. I have other things to focus on. I'm already full. I decline. Never mind. No, thank you. No, thanks. Can you understand that? How that operating in this mode or zone that we're talking about, of sort of going and doing and upholding all of this? Anything that kind of feels like scarcity or survival, or going through the checklist, or finding things to do, or filling the gaps, filling the space without taking the opportunities that you get to, let your hair down, let your belly out. If you're not doing those things, it's like you're not experiencing the abundance that you have now, and then it's more difficult to experience more. And that level of spaciousness that you have in your life or not speaks to the availability for more abundance. So let's see what else is here. So I'm seeing all of my messages rehashed, everything I've already said. So this is a part of, okay, yeah, yay, this is sweet. So like we said, this is the energy of something that might have eluded you up until now, card pile 1, of attracting, not chasing. So you might have always wondered within yourself, when they talk about this in law of attraction or manifestation or spiritual circles or books or whatever, what do they mean attracting, not chasing? This is it. It's like letting yourself, again, let your hair down, let your belly out, enjoy the time that is given, enjoy the space that is given. You are often provided with opportunities to be able to drop your shoulders and you maybe close your eyes or take a full breath and just really let yourself fill up on nature, or even just savor a good moment. You're given those opportunities and you're choosing not to take those opportunities. And it's almost like because you're chasing something else, chasing another task or moment or whatever, when the abundance is here now and it's trying to be gifted to you. So this is the energy of attracting, not chasing. And this is the transformation you've been seeking. So it's very clear. And I know we already touched on this, but I'm going to highlight it again because it's 3 different cards are speaking to abundance, prosperity. And this one speaks to prosperity too, but intuitively more so than directly. And so look, it's saying like you've sought for more abundance. You've wanted more prosperity. This is something you've prayed for, or maybe even attempted to manifest. I don't feel like you guys are like gung-ho, diehard manifestors, like, I will create this. It's not that. It's more of like, I work so hard. Why don't I have anything to show for this? I work so dang hard. What's my payoff? And it's saying your payoff, well, is partly delivered to you, from you, by you. It's the inhale. It's interesting because I also feel like it could be an exhale too, right? Of the letting go and the release. But I feel like it's taking the moment to breathe. And again, taking the moment for yourself. The abundance that you have sought for yourself, that you've been thinking the world hasn't given to you or won't give to you, or whatever that is. You likely have some kind of pattern or narrative around that, like what you've believed to be true up until now. And it's saying it was always going to be gifted to you, from you, by you. It's really up to you. And if any of you have seen the movie, I don't know if it's in the book, but it's called What Dreams May Come. The book is phenomenal. The movie is pretty good. The meaning especially. I love Robin Williams. And so I was watching it last night. I didn't finish it. But what was so interesting is Robin Williams in the movie, what's the alert? I'm going to give away something. So there is an alert you're supposed to give to people, but spoiler alert. Okay. In the movie, Robin Williams dies. He's creating his own heaven. But ironically, even though he's creating his own heaven, he's not able to like bring his children up just by thought. He can't automatically create something just because he wants it. And so he goes up to Cuba Gooding Jr., who's playing his spiritual guide in this movie, or his spirit guide, and is like, where's so-and-so? Or why isn't this here? Or why isn't that here? And every single time the guy always says, when you're ready, when you're ready, whenever you're ready. And it's just this beautiful, reassuring, and even easygoing message around perhaps even trusting when we're not ready, but also trusting when we are, and recognizing too that it's always us that's captaining the ship, even when it seems like it couldn't possibly be us. Because why would we withhold our own abundance? Why would we dare not take the time? Why would we dare not let ourselves relax? But at the end of the day, that is us, which of course then, like we said, law of attraction or otherwise, still determines how much abundance we receive now, and therefore how much gratitude we have, and therefore how much payoff we're experiencing. And so it's that message of, you will experience it whenever you're ready, but you can be ready. You can be ready now, but it is a choice. And it's something that you have to undergo and partake in terms of choosing to take the moments and the opportunities that are given to you to create more space and spaciousness in your everyday life without always choosing to go, do, fill that gap of time, fill that space with something else. So, card pile 1, in terms of upping your mood, upping your vibe, clearing your baggage, your burdens. I've been so stopped up today with my words. Your baggage, burdens, and worries. This is all about you creating more spaciousness within your life, within yourself, within your experience. It's about allowing yourself again to let go, let your hair down, let your belly out, and undo the top button of your jeans and just enjoy what's here, what's already here for you. So card pile 1, if this lands, if it resonates, I encourage you to share a story in the comments. Do subscribe if you so choose. Press the bell icon. That way you receive those notifications. And if you want to get to know more about me or get a personal reading or learn about the other work that I do, you can check out erritygreen.com. And I do have, again, 2 other YouTube channels, Psychic True Crime and Wise Women Television. I'd love to have you over there. Thank you, card pile 1. All right, card pile 2. So I was sharing with card pile 1, so I'll share it here. These are 2 new decks. They're not new to me, but they are new for doing YouTube readings. So I am just now developing a relationship with them, meaning my messages could come by a little bit slower, but we didn't have any trouble with card pile 1. So we might be good. This is the Goddess Guidance deck and the Abundance deck. Yeah, Angels of Abundance. But I tend to list my decks in the description. So if you are curious, you should be able to find them there. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So I feel like for you, card pile 2, in terms of upping your vibe and your mood and clearing out your baggage, your burdens, your worries, this is about what you surround yourself with, what you consume, what kinds of activities you're engaging in, what kind of people you're engaging with, what kind of conversations you're having, sort of like what vibrational frequency are you hanging around or hovering around. And there's no judgment in this at all. Like, as humans in the 3rd dimension, we get to decide where we want to reside. Do we want it to be in the lower vibrations? Do we want to watch horror films? Do we want to get caught up in social media all the time? Do we want to spend hours and hours on Netflix and YouTube, some of these being higher in vibration than others? Or do we want to spend our time in nature, spending time with present time with our loved ones, our family, our children, going out in nature, mindful movement, right? It's going to be up to us how we spend our time, and most of us are going to do something like this. We're going to do all of it. This is a 360-degree experience. There's no judgment. But since the question is, how do you up your mood? How do you up your vibe? For you, card pile 2, this is all about what you allow in your inner circle. Okay? So a message that's coming through strong right off the bat is, and it's interesting, I did something like this last week. Not quite like this, though. But taking a paper and writing down what you truly, deeply want in your inner circle. So we're talking about not just people who are going to be in your inner circle. Excuse me while I find a new position. Not just people who you want in your inner circle, but the kinds of activities you want to engage in within your inner circle. The kinds of conversations you want to have, what you want to be giving your attention to. Really focusing on your inner circle and what that whole vibe is going to be and what that includes. Like your everyday experiences and interactions, communication, exchanges, experiences, what's going to be in your inner circle. So you might have 5, 10, 15, or 25 things. You don't have to overdo it to the most minute detail, but you do want to be relatively clear so you know exactly what goes in your inner circle and what doesn't. Because at your deepest level, your heart already knows what you need and what you want. And I think you even know what you need and what you want and what you respond well to and what you don't, and what brings you up and what brings you down, or what brings you all around. It's like we all kind of know this about ourselves. Whether or not we follow it in this moment or the next, never or always, is going to be up to us. I am definitely one of those people that can find myself on social media, since I do a lot of my work there and I have a lot of friends there and my primary social network there. And I watch a lot of YouTube, usually high vibrational things. And yet, at the end of the day, do I want it to be 25% of my inner circle or like 2%? The reality is like 2, when I'm really honest with myself. So you really want to identify who and what you want in your inner circle. And this will just help you draw a line in the sand as to what is really good for you and what's not. Because we're talking about upping your mood and upping your vibe. There's something in terms of whatever you're engaging in is actually dropping your vibe, your mood, your frequency, right? It's bringing you down. So this might not even be true for you. When you step away from all that gunk and junk, you are of a higher vibrational nature. You on your own are at a different wavelength. But when you engage with this content or you consume this stuff, it brings you down to a lower level. Now, there's nothing, again, particularly wrong or problematic about being at a lower vibration. It's about how you feel. And if you're saying that you feel bad, basically, and want to feel good, this is one of the ways to do that. Yeah. So this is going to be something important for you. And it's like one of those things that we have to do what we must to get where we want to go. And so, for some of you, it sort of has this energy of being non-negotiable, to be completely honest. I'm kind of getting this energy of being more disciplined, being more consistent, being honest with yourself, setting clearer boundaries, and honoring that, and sort of doing what you must do to get where you want to go. Meaning, if you really want to feel good, and if you really want to consistently feel good, it's going to require you to lay down the law, more or less, draw that line in the sand, and really honor that. It's like doing what you must in order to get where you want to go. And there's this energy there. And so I don't know why that's being emphasized. Sometimes I'll get a feeling as to why. But I would imagine if that's what's being given, that some of you might have sort of this resistance or idea of, well, what else am I going to do for fun? And what else is there to do anymore? And this is the only friendship circle I have. And so we might have some excuses or resistances around this. And so it's not like any of those things aren't valid or true, but it's saying at the end of the day, we still have to do what we need to do in order to bring about a particular result. So it's like, if you want to get a PhD, you got to go to school and you got to get the PhD. If you want to have clean oil in your car, you have to go get an oil change. If you want to have a baby, you have to follow the steps of having a baby. That's a more fun one, right? For many of us. So it's like, at the end of the day, there still are some things we have to do in order to achieve a particular result. So it's saying you might have a lot of things in the way of this, and or it might be a part of your world, a part of your leisure, your recreation, your fun. And yet it still must be reorganized or changed in order to bring about a different vibration or experience in your life. So it's going to require you to make those changes. So I feel some of you hanging out with a crowd that maybe talks about things that don't really do it for you. I feel some of you might have sort of extracurricular activities, we're going to put that in quotes, that you may engage with that don't necessarily bring about the highest possible vibe for you. And you might think that it does in the moment, but really it's an escape or avoidance. So then when you're not engaging in that extracurricular activity, you actually feel a lot more unresolved emotions and struggle to process through those because they've all been suppressed because of your extracurricular activities. So those are kind of any escape-oriented activities, say social media, substances, whatever, pick your poison. We usually have some kind of escape route or coping mechanism that ultimately is coping in the moment, but is making things more difficult long-term because it's the bucket is just getting fuller and fuller and fuller and fuller. And so that when we're not engaging in those other activities, it's ready to blow. And what does it make us want to do? Do the activity again to shut it up, but then eventually it's going to blow. And so we get into this cycle of addiction, more or less. And so for some of you, you might consider yourself to have a soft addiction. I'm not feeling the energy of a heavy addiction here. That is something that is relevant for you. I encourage you to get the necessary support and resources and not rely on a YouTube reading alone to support you. I do have a reading on recovery and recovery from addiction, which it's way back when I first started my channel, but you can find it here. But I feel like for most of you, this is something that's a pattern of consumption in one form or another that has led to or can lead to more addictive patterning or an addiction for some of you. And sometimes it's like we got to do what we must, right? This is like the tough love kind of vibe where it's like we set the boundary and ultimately we have to follow it. Our limits that we set with ourselves are only as good as our ability to hold those limits. So some of you might require some support. Enlist a coach, mentor, friend, sister, brother, partner, spouse to support you on this journey where you hold each other accountable. And instead of disappearing into Netflix at the end of the night, you guys both have heart-to-heart exchanges, or you journal on something together, or you meditate together. It really can be whatever it is that you want it to be. It's about what you want in your inner circle. Those things are going to be the things that ultimately bring up your vibe and make you feel good. And so those are going to be the things you want to keep doing, while anything else that makes you feel differently, those are things you don't want to do. Yeah, because it's like all on your own, you're fine. So you might feel like you have like a lot of baggage or demons or challenges, and the energy here isn't that. And that's why I said a lot of this feels more like a soft addiction, if anything, but more so just an addictive pattern, more so than an ingrained addiction, because I'm not feeling, any kind of heavy, dense, or dark energy. Not that I subscribe to that anyway. It never feels like that for me. But I'm not feeling that vibe. I'm feeling something where you can get lost scrolling on social media. I get that feeling where you maybe have a extra glass of wine or something and it makes you feel like crap. I get that energy of getting involved in fights on social media, or not fights, I mean, come on, arguments or tense conversations, or looking at things that really don't do it for you. Having conversations, anymore with political leanings and things like that. Things can get really hot and heavy really fast in a way that we don't want. So I kind of get that vibe, that energy. It's like all on your own. Your energy is clean and it's clear, and you know how to manage your energy. I feel for card pile 2, I feel like for many of you, or at least some of you, as I say that, I'm a little bit adjusted or corrected there, but some of you know how to manage your energy, or at the very least, you know what to do. So this is just a matter of staying away from the things that really don't serve your highest good. Yeah, I mean, we got tons of focus here. Don't back down. Independence. Clearing. Obstacles and blocks are lifted. It's like all of this stuff, this fog lifts when you let it lift. The fog lifts when you stop driving into it. It's like, let's just say of a mountain that's really foggy every single day. Every morning, there's tons of fog there. And it's challenging to drive on that mountain because there's so much fog, but you have to get to your work. And so you look up on GPS or Google Maps an alternate road, okay? And maybe it takes an extra 20 minutes. So it does require some effort, and it does require a little bit of sacrifice out of you. There is a cost, but ultimately keeps you out of that fog, out of dangerous situations. Obviously, this doesn't necessarily have to be a dangerous thing. We're just giving you an example. But let's just say you decided to keep driving through that fog every day and then wondering why you're stressed out. Why am I driving through fog every day? Well, because you're driving through fog every day, right? Or why am I stressed when I get to work every day? Well, because you're choosing to drive through fog. So it's saying take the road less traveled. Take the road that is clear, that is more high vibe, that is more on your wavelength, that is aligned with your inner circle, because this really isn't about you as much as it is about what you are engaging in, or what you're engaging with, or who you're engaging with. So card pile 2, that is your reading. If this resonates for you, I encourage you to share your story below. Do press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications every single time a new reading pops up. You do have to subscribe in order to press the bell icon. And then if you want to get to know more about me, my work, a private reading, you can check out erritygreen.com. And I do have 2 other YouTube channels, Psychic True Crime and Wise Women Television, both of which are updated regularly. And you can regularly, as in like Moira from Schitt's Creek, which I can't even do it, but regularly. They're updated regularly. And that was a lot. Subscribe to those communities if you so choose and would like to join me there. Thank you, card pile 2. All right, card pile 3. So today's reading is on how to up your mood and vibe, clear your baggage, burdens, and worries. I will share this. It hasn't been too much of an issue, but I do want to share, because I shared it with the other card piles, that I am working with 2 new decks today. They are not new to me, but they are new to reading on YouTube. So I'm still developing this relationship. So the messages may come out a little bit slower. It hasn't been a challenge so far today, but I have the Angels of Abundance deck and the Goddess Guidance deck, and that's what I'm using today. So card pile 3, right off the bat, and the other card piles weren't as specific as this one, but I really do feel like for card pile 3, this is relevant to your financial fears, that it's specifically about finances, about securing resources, about work, about ensuring you can provide, ensuring you can uphold your home, your house, your family, ensure you get what you need and meet your needs, ensuring that you are able to properly provide for yourself, home, family, kids, whatever your situation is. The energy of survival, doing what you need to do, securing what you must, going above and beyond to make sure you have all of your ducks in a row, you've dotted your I's, you've crossed your T's, and then some. So there's just this energy of doing everything and maybe all of your waking moments. Maybe your thoughts are dominated by this or dictated by this. Maybe your everyday experiences, even if you're not thinking about this specifically or actively, your behavior stems from it. Meaning, maybe you're rushing through your morning, but that's because you have to get to work, and you have to get to work on time. And because you get to work on time, you have to make the money to keep the job. And right, you see how, like, even though it's indirect, it still affects you. And or something like checking your emails even when you don't have to, and or sending out emails when you don't even have to. And again, if we were to trail this back, it doesn't maybe look like it's a financial fear, but at the end of the day, it has something to do with, well, if I don't answer my email, then I'm not going to get it in time. Then what are they going to think of me? And is this going to work out? And so there's just a lot of energy that's all sort of based in and built around successful provision, or making sure you can provide, making sure you can secure funds. So I would imagine for many or most of you, this may not be the case, but that you're either the head of your household or one of the heads of your household, or that you're a CEO, or that you own your own business, something that places a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. And it's almost like this dictates your entire life as a result. It really feels like for you, card pile 3, it's about being overburdened with responsibility or financial responsibility. But it feels more of like a perception than a reality, because it's the energy here is that even if you were handed a bunch of money, you would still be engaging in these behaviors. So there might even be a message to go deeper to the root of this and really explore, is it about financial fears, or is it the tip of the iceberg? And what is it really about? Because for some of you, I'm feeling that superficial financial fears, like that's the specific tip of the iceberg. Maybe what you tell yourself, what you're thinking about consciously. Like I feel that kind of energy of just on and on, hamster wheel kind of energy. But then the deeper tip of the iceberg is like, or the tip of the iceberg is that the deep part of the iceberg that kind of goes into the subconscious, dwells there, is more about, I feel this energy of being unsure of yourself. I feel this energy of self-doubt, insecurity, maybe even fear of failure. There's something there, and we'll see if it gets more specific in terms of the energy, because it feels a little bit vague and diffused at the moment as we move through the reading. But I feel like for some of you, it's not just this upper survivalist financial fear. It might appear that way, but for some of you, there's something deeper here. So for some of you too, this might just be your way of avoiding feelings that you have, grief that hasn't been expressed, losses that haven't been acknowledged. I feel like for some of you, you're the type that could go through, let's just say, a loss, whether that be a divorce or a family member, even a parent, someone close to you, even the loss of a company, a business, a project, or something that was really important to you. And instead of really allowing yourself to go there, you'd be the type of person who would take on a new project at work, or a new responsibility, or decline therapy. Like your workplace might even say, we'd like to offer you at least 3 therapy sessions on the house. We hear about that happening, and or companies offering their programs to their employees where they're covered, and you would be the type of person to decline. You're going to choose work instead of what actually matters, like the deeper, substantial sort of meat of the issue, the emotional layers, the emotional undercurrents, the subconscious aspects. And so I have that energy, and we'll get more clarity as we go, that the financial fears are sort of a cover for these deeper existential worries inside of you, And so I'd explore that, because financial worry could be specific to you, but it could also be more collective in nature, meaning that you might just have a general lack of trust and faith and belief in life to help support, provide, deliver. You might, as a result of your relationship with your authority figures, caregivers, family of origin, really not actually believe anywhere in your body's bones or blood that things can be easy, that you will be okay. Maybe you've just never had the assurance. But there's something here that goes far deeper for most of you than the financial fears. It's very specific to gearing your whole life. It's like a pyramid. It's kind of the energy of a pyramid, where you have your whole life. This is your life all wrapped up in a little pyramid, all right? And it's you have all these other layers to your life that are beautiful. Many of you have family, loved ones, kids, all these things. And then you have little hobbies and passions that you like and enjoy, leisure things that you do on the weekends, recreational, maybe travel and vacations, stuff like that. And then seeing other family members, extended family members, and the lazily things that we do in the weekend, Netflix and whatever. But ultimately, it's all geared toward this one thing, which is work, career, i.e. finances. And some of you, it might be more work career related, and might be more heavy on that side, where some of you, it's more finances. Because some of you tell yourself, because you're obsessed with work or career or whatever, that this is about finances. It's about financial stability. I got to do what I got to do. Got to protect, provide, survive, all this stuff. Like, you tell yourself that's what it is, but it's actually this sort of existential anguish. It's this despair over a lack of trust and faith and what could be considered a hopeless, pessimistic universe that doesn't care about any of us, and everything's going to go wrong, and danger lurks around every corner. It's like, and if you just hurry yourself, and if you just push yourself, and if you just focus on these other things that are going to get you gone and up and at 'em and get out of Dodge and get hired, keep up with the Joneses, or make more money, that somehow all of this stuff is going to go away. And even if you don't have that subconscious or conscious expectation, you know that if you focus on work, career, finances, that it gives you a really good excuse, and even a socially desirable or socially validated, acceptable excuse, to not really pay attention to your deeper emotions or your emotional body, even say your pain body. It's like, you don't have to focus on your emotional body if you are completely focused on work. You don't have to look at your childhood wounds if you're focused at work. And you might even, I feel like some of you, as soon as I say that, it's like some of you skirt around it, kind of dip your toe in the water here, dip your toe in the water. Oh, I looked at it. Oh, I took the one therapy session my job offered me, but I didn't continue. Like, things like that, where it's like, put a Band-Aid on it and you move on. And I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. And I want to make that clear, because sometimes we've beat a horse to death for so dang long. Sometimes we just got to move on. We got to get in the energy of moving on, the energy of the future, the next chapter. But for someone who hasn't acknowledged the big fat elephant in the room, or the monster under the bed, or the grim reaper at the door, they gonna be hanging around for a good long while, and they're not going anywhere until we address it. And I say we because this goes for all of us, and I can relate to this. But I feel like there's this energy here of trust, of trusting life to be just. And you might, if you actually were to really feel into that, I think there would even be emotion here, an emotional response of trusting life to take care of you. Because I feel like at a deep level, people who are watching Card Pile 3 do not at all believe life will take care of you. I don't think you believe that life will show up for you. And again, there's nothing wrong with this. We get our beliefs from childhood, and sometimes ancestrally, we come in with these beliefs. More often than not, we adopt and inherit our entire parents' belief systems and projections without ever knowing at all. So it's just a matter of recognizing them so we can release what's no longer true for us, or maybe what was never true for us. We just didn't know, and now we do. So there's this energy of recognizing that a lot of your efforts to succeed or do more, or get better, or more money, or whatever all of that stuff is, especially as related to work, career, finances, it's a cover for this existential anguish, this lack of trust and faith in the universe, and God, great spirit, cosmos, universe, for lack of belief in yourself, I just feel like this, again, like doubt, uncertainty, anguish, insecurity. We'll see if we get specific things there. I like to get something more specific, especially with a reading like this, because to me, shadow work isn't all that helpful if it's not specific. I mean, it isn't. But if I'm going to present something to somebody, I really want to hit the nail on the head, strike the chord. And I feel like it's like when we strum that, when we strike that chord, things start to loosen up a bit. Otherwise, it's really tight, ingrained, enmeshed, like, in our bodies, in our body, mind, spirits. When we start striking that chord or hitting that nerve, things start to open up, right? Just like they would if we had, say, like dough wrapped around a guitar string. If we would keep strumming that guitar, all that stuff is going to fall off eventually. And so it's kind of the energy of removing that energy blockage. So let's see what else is here. It's like there's this energy here that you get to be successful. You can call in whatever the heck you want to call in. You can literally do anything. Card Pile 3, you're the people who can manifest easily or well. You're the people who will always do what you must do to create or secure an outcome. You're the people that other people rely on to get shit done. It's like you are assured what is yours, what belongs to you, what is yours to claim. You are assured success and funding and support and stability. I do feel the energy that it's ultimately going to be up to you, because again, there's that energy like we opened with, where even if you were handed a blank check from the universe, God himself, as God personified himself, comes down and hands you a blank check. Say, listen, God, thank you. And I'm going to take this. I'm going to pocket this, but I'm going to keep on working 60 hours a week. You would still find, because this isn't really about the money. This isn't really about the work or career. This is a cover for the things that are going on more deeply for you. And I would ask yourself what those might be. Perhaps you contemplate on it, meditate over it, pray about it, ask for clarity, for more revelation, journal on it. But say something like, the tip of the iceberg for me is focusing or overly focusing on this undue influence on career, work, money, providing, scarcity, whatever. What's underneath that iceberg? And just see what comes up. Let it be automatic. Let it come up from the inner wellspring of your own being. See what pops up, especially some of the other things we talked about. Deep insecurity, fundamentally, like there's this fundamental belief system that you're unsupported, that you'll never be supported, that it'll never go your way, that you won't be provided for, that you won't be supported. And where does that come from? And is that true? And how can you begin to create a reality that defies that and honors a new belief system? And you might just explore it curiously, as opposed to like overnight trying to change yourself or something, because that's just more of the same energy. It's like, what would it be like if I believed the universe provided for me? What would life be like if I knew I was provided for? What would life be like if I actually trusted fundamentally in the universe that it loved me, cared for me, and would provide for me? And just explore that. What kind of reality would that look like? How would you feel? How would you do different? What would naturally change? What would organically unfold? It's just exploring the energy of this new reality so you can begin to perhaps even walk through some of those action steps. It might say you take more time off or time to yourself. It might say that you would do the meditation, go to the class, take the therapy sessions, right? It's going to have stuff like that on there, and that will identify the kinds of things to do in order to uphold a new belief and value system that actually changes the fundamental infrastructure that holds up this entire illusion or false ego identity or false self that actually isn't true for you. This whole self based in career, work, finances, scarcity, or whatever is all based in I'm not provided for. The universe doesn't do for me. It will never do for me. I will never be provided for. Things like that. Your version might be a little bit different, but it's energy that's very much on that same wavelength. And so if you were to clear that iceberg, and I think that part of you is scared about that. Who would you become if you didn't have this? What would you even do? What would you do with your time? I feel like this is such a massive part of your identity that I feel like a part of you even fears getting rid of, we'll say, this big iceberg. And so it's like, because I was going to say that iceberg could clear, and look at that. You'd have this clarity, this awareness, you'd have spaciousness, likely abundance, just be beautiful serenity, peace and calm, allowing, trusting. You'd be in a much more feminine flow in your life experience. And yet, as soon as I talked about it, I felt the resistance of you. There was a part of you, or maybe the whole of you, that would absolutely be frantic, or petrified of that whole sort of boulder iceberg identity leaving, because I think it's all you know. I feel like that's the only identity you know, and you don't even know what you would do with yourself or your time. So it's a matter of exploring what that identity would be, so that slowly and surely it can dissolve in its own time as you engage in this new person. Like, it's not going to go away and sort of leave you high and dry. Like, the iceberg isn't going to go away one day and you wake up and you're like terrified because you don't even know who to be, how to operate. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be more like you start exploring what the new reality might be, what this fundamental belief system might be, how it would differ in terms of your inner infrastructure, and you explore what that might look like, how that would feel. You start engaging in some of those actions, making those choices and decisions, and slowly and surely, as you're embodying that energy, the other stuff is going to dissipate, dissolve. It's not going to be this instantaneous change that's going to terrify your ego, right? It's going to be something that's gentle, that's soft, that's soothing. Let's see what else is here. But you are more secure than you think. Now, because what else wants to come here is coming from a place of more love when it comes to yourself, but also the things that you do. So right now, when you're operating in the energy of the iceberg, this false identity, this false self, of this fundamental belief structure that really doesn't trust that it's provided for, really doesn't believe in its own I don't even know how I want to say it. I mean, I've said it a lot, so I don't need to be too redundant here. But it's like when you're operating in that, everything is from a place of I must get this done, I must do this, I must do that, gotta do this, gotta do that. That's really not loving, right? It's getting stuff done, yes, but there's no emotional honesty with it. There's no emotion behind it. There's a drive and determination that comes from more ego. It's like affirming this identity some more and affirming this identity some more and affirming this identity some more. It's just like continues to affirm the same old sort of dry, mechanical, sterile kinds of actions. It's like the energy of going through the motions. That's more of how you operate right now, as opposed to things that are infused with life itself, love, that energy, that currency of love. When we love, like, let's just say we really love baking, and so we bake this beautiful whatever of cookies for our child's preschool, or we volunteer and spend the day with them at the school, or we give a lot of love to the few clients that we have because we've kept our caseload low and low enough that we could really offer our full and true presence. This is the energy of ourselves to be loved and supported and soothed. This is the energy of coming from a space of love in our actions and our doing, because any sort of abundance, love, receiving, whatever it is that we seek, even fulfillment, emotional fulfillment, it's going to be found more in this energy than it is in the other dry, mechanical, going through the motions energy of, I just got to do this, I just got to do that, I got to secure the next job, I got to get that pay, which again, that's all cover anyway for this existential anguish underneath. This belief in your own annihilation and non-deservingness, and that you'll never get what you need, you'll never get what you want, your cup will never be full, your pockets will never be full, it will never work out, it will never go your way, blah, 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 right? It just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. So yeah, there's this energy here of an emotional healing that might either want to take place or is yearning to take place, or that you want to take place. I feel like there's a part of you, again, that has been neglected in service to this workaholic or this go, go, go energy, this driver, this internal driver. It's like most of your life is handed over to that guy. And so there's parts of you, parts of yourself, your inner child, your emotional body, your emotional aspects that have long been since neglected. And there's something here about reconciling with that emotional aspect of you by meeting your emotional needs. And that's, I think, really the kicker, where we're really coming to the tail end here of what we can do to really support you, card pile 3, in terms of upping your mood and vibe. It's meeting your emotional needs. It's securing your emotional fulfillment. It's choosing things that emotionally move you, that emotionally touch you, that emotionally soothe you. It's choosing spaces and containers and people and exchanges and interactions and communication that honors that emotional bond and connection and love and nurturing. It's choosing to be nurtured. It's choosing people, places, things that nurture us, where we can nurture and they can nurture. And it's this mutual exchange, this mutual nurturing, this common ground of bonding and connection and nurturing and love. So it's returning yourself to your emotional body, to the more vulnerable, tender places, we'll say tender places inside, that yearn to be loved, that yearn to be held, that yearn to be looked at, that yearn to no longer be denied, neglected, avoided, or overlooked in service to another paycheck, another job, another client, another this, another that, another promotion, another rung on the ladder, another keeping up with the Joneses. It's like that's all been said and done, and you're wondering, gosh, I feel dry, sterile, things feel empty, flat, numb. Maybe things heavy on you, your burdens weigh heavy on you. Maybe you're worrisome and constantly in your head about all the things you need to do. But it's like, okay, if that's the case, take yourself out of your mind, take your focus out of your mind and give it over to your emotional body. And then some of you are going to say, well, I don't even know how to be with that part of myself. I don't even know what to do with that part of myself. You know, I haven't ever been that person. And so this energy feels like reconnecting with your inner child. So again, meeting your emotional needs. So it's asking you, what do you emotionally, when you're 100% honest, need right now? Some of you aren't going to know right off the bat. You have to nurture those relationships and those connections with your emotions, with your inner child. It's just spending time even dialoguing with yourself, telling yourself the things you want to hear, but seeing what comes up from the emotion in terms of what it needs, because usually emotion can tell us or communicate what it needs as opposed to us telling it what we need. Oh, depression came up. I know that I need a frappa mocha latte or whatever, making that up from Starbucks. It's like, well, the emotion's probably not actually saying that. The emotion's actually saying that it wants to be comforted and nurtured. And our mind just decided we're going to smother it with our frappa mocha latte. Okay. So letting your emotions guide you, letting your emotions incline you, let them be more of the drivers of your life. Actually engaging with, developing a relationship, a dialogue, and a communication with your emotions and your emotional body, so you can get to know this side of you, which is also going to help you get to know your inner child, which is also going to connect you to your inner child's dreams, wonders, wishes, aspirations, passions, fantasies, magic, the magic of living, and the magic of living life as a child, that innocence, that purity. All of that is going to come from getting into greater communication with your emotions. And what's another way? Because we had said, well, what if you don't even know what to do? You've lived in your mind and you spent all your time in this space operating within the iceberg. So it's listening and honoring to your emotions, asking how you can meet your emotions or meet the needs, meet your emotional needs. And it's also moving toward what emotionally fulfills you. You know, if it moves you emotionally, if it touches your heart, if it makes you shed a tear or shed tears, if it makes you feel sentimental, if it does anything at all to this heart of yours, then that's your call. That's where you move toward. That's what you move toward. If it doesn't make you feel a thing, if it feels flat, empty, if it feels neutral, if it's not moving you emotionally, it's probably no longer for you. It's more of the old self, the old reality, the old mentality that, again, is just bringing you down, which is why you're here and you're asking, what can I do to up my mood and vibe? Now, I know this reading was longer than the other two, but I wasn't going to cut it short because I want to offer you what's here for you, to make sure I'm offering the message within, to honor the highest integrity of the message. Let's see what else is here. There's something here about offering yourself unconditional love too. And it can be so hard when you're in this limited reality of not believing yourself loving and deserving, and not believing that you'll ever be provided for or supported or nourished or held or comforted. And then just unconditional love. It's as simple as that. You're gonna be like, F you, Errity, F you, Errity. And the reason I know is because I can relate to some of this. And so I'm like, you know, I know what to grab onto, because sometimes resistances come up, but then my own will come up when it matches the reading as well, so that I can offer more support in that regard or guidance. So some of you might be challenged to offer yourself that unconditional love. And so you can seek that out in your everyday reality. Find sources of unconditional love to hold you. I mean, actually create the space, the container for you. So join circles, work with a teacher, work with a mentor, but especially the ones who are heart-centered, not just the ones who are sort of rational, pragmatic, and practical that are get to the point. You need people who are heart-centered and can hold space for your heart, can even hold space for you to laugh, cry, and weep and wail. You want those kinds of providers to support you at this time. But you might also do this for yourself, visualizing a motherly figure or maternal figure in your meditations or any of your spiritual practices. It doesn't have to be that, but someone you might have found warm and nurturing. So maybe a grandparent, even if it's a passed on grandparent, even better. You know, ask them to be your spirit guide, or call upon them and imagine them as such anyway, because it's really just the energy at the end of the day. But it personifies it, and it brings it really close to home, that source of unconditional love, of really feeling held, really feeling loved. So as much as you can bring sources of comfort, safety, nurturing, support, and nourishment, just love, 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 into your life, into your reality, containers and circles and people and spaces and people who can hold space for you, and for you to start doing this for yourself. How are you going to do that? By opening up a dialogue and developing a relationship with your emotions and your emotional body, and honoring that, listening to it, following its direction, its call, its inclinations, like letting it have a say in your life, meeting the emotional needs that are there and letting that be your priority, more so than the work, career, finances, and all of that focus. And last but not least, moving toward emotional fulfillment by really honoring what it is you truly, deeply want. You might not know. That's okay. These things will become clear as you go. So it's a matter of honoring the things that are there, that are clear, that you do know that you love. More often than not, we know what we don't like and that we don't love. So at the very least, we know not to do that, right? We know maybe probably scrolling in social media, disappearing into Netflix or a tub of popcorn or whatever the thing is, probably isn't it. It has to be something that emotionally moves you, something that brings about your own like inner empathy, compassion, even your own sympathy. We're able to sympathize, empathize with, able to be with, to actually connect. Anything that moves you in that regard. And then developing that relationship with your inner child, which is part of meeting the needs and part of moving toward emotional fulfillment. Because I do feel like ultimately, eventually, this is going to bring out some greater passions and desires and directions that you'd like to move toward that are going to bring about your greater emotional fulfillment and what it is that you're actually seeking. And I feel like for some of you, you've been thinking abundance is going to come from this workaholism, this doing, this overdoing, this overthinking, this overdoing it, but it feels empty and mechanical and dry and unfun and neutral or worse. When in reality, your abundance of all forms is going to come from when you start honoring your emotions, your emotional body, your inner child, and your inner sense of wonder, that emotional fulfillment. That's what's going to support you, card pile 3. All right, card pile 3, if this resonates, I encourage you to like, subscribe, press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications every single time a new video pops up. If you want to get to know more about me or get a personal reading, you can go to erritygreen.com or visit the link below. Last but not least, I do have 2 other YouTube channels you're welcome to join and subscribe. Be a part of those families. We have Psychic True Crime and Wise Women Television. Again, both of which are linked below. Thank you, card pile 3.